All right, so here we go. I'm just going to play it right from the computer. This is going to be from ACX. And as you can see over here, this is how I do it. I got the script on one screen. Usually my microphone sits right where this camera is. And I record. Let's listen. It was almost midnight and Malcolm lay in his bed. Visions of the midnight monster began to roam through his head. The same thing would happen at the same time each night. The midnight monster would creep in, giving Malcolm a fright. Malcolm looked out the window at the stars in the sky, hoping the monster would not come on this night. But he knew that there was nothing he could do, but he hoped to not have a night before Redu. Suddenly Malcolm heard the clock strike, letting him know that it was midnight. Malcolm frowned as he heard the clock's long dong. It let him know that it wouldn't be long. He closed his eyes and grunted his teeth. He pulled the covers over his head, leaving a small space to peek. Malcolm looked over at the window and then over at the door. He looked over at the desk and then down at the floor. Everything seemed to be okay, and the coast was clear. The midnight monster seemed to be nowhere near. Malcolm took in a deep breath and let out a small laugh. Maybe this would be the best midnight Malcolm would have. Just when he thought that he was in the clear, he heard a strange voice whisper in his ear. Malcolm jumped up out of the bed, knocking his covers onto the floor. He ran as fast as he could over to his bedroom door. There beside his bed, the monster stood. He had long, sharp teeth and looked as scary as a monster could. His whole body was covered in fur, which would cause any boy to stir. His nails were long and his eyes were red. The midnight monster had pointy spikes on his head. The midnight monster slowly opened his mouth. To Malcolm's surprise, the tiniest of voices spoke out. "Malcolm, don't run. I don't mean you any harm. I did not mean to cause you alarm. I just want to play. Can't we be friends?" The midnight monster added in. "Just go away, monster," Malcolm said with fear. "As a matter of fact, please don't come back here." The midnight monster tucked in his tail. A frown appeared on his face, and his shoulders fell. Malcolm looked up at the midnight monster and saw the tears in his eyes. Surprisingly, he found the monster to be a really nice guy. "Midnight monster, please don't cry. But you've been coming to my room every night. Can you please tell me why?" "I just want a friend, that's all I need. Malcolm, I'm a good monster, you will see. I know that I'm different, this we know indeed. But we can be friends if we both just believe. Midnight monster, you are not scary and you are pretty tame. I guess we can be friends, but I don't know your name." "I don't have a name," the midnight monster said, as he closed his eyes and lowered his head. "Where I come from, we don't have names. We are no different. We are all the same." "Don't worry, midnight monster. There's no reason to fret. This will be simple. We can fix that. How about John? Or what about Tom? Maybe even Pete? Yes, that name sounds neat. Pete sounds nice, and it's fine with me. As long as you are my friend, then Pete I will be." Malcolm and Pete talked and they played. Malcolm couldn't help but laugh at the things Pete would say. The boy and the monster had so much fun. Malcolm couldn't wait for tomorrow's midnight to come. And that is how the story ends. Malcolm and Pete becoming the best of friends. Although they are different as can be, a boy and a monster, Malcolm and Pete. This has been Eric Pritchard reading for Malcolm and the Midnight Monster. There you go. That was the read. Give me your feedback. Tell me what you think.